Welcome to the Patriotic Pulpit. I'm Bill Lockwood. You know, one of the most damaging and one of the most frightening stories that I've read in the last so many years is a story that I've read by Matt Taibbi in the Substack column that he puts out. And it regards the CIA had foreign allies spying on the Trump team and the whole time triggering the Russia collusion hoax, according to sources that he cites anonymously. Now, I want to tell you, this is, to me, the biggest story that possibly could be, and it demonstrates and underscores that we have absolutely lost our government. We've lost control of things, and this is completely the hugest thing that I think that I've read in a long time. I'm going to go through the article for just a moment. I'll come back and make a few comments regarding it. So last year, he writes, John Durham, special prosecutor for the Justice Department, concluded that the federal government, or rather the Federal Bureau of Investigation, should never have opened its investigation of alleged collusion by then presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russia in late July of 2016. Now, multiple credible sources tell Public and Racket, that the United States intelligence community, that is the IC, and Public and Racket, that would be Matt Taibbi, and this is an article that's co-authored by Michael Schellenberger as well. So multiple credible sources tell Public and Racket that the United States intelligence community, that is the IC for short, including the Central Intelligence Agency, illegally mobilized foreign intelligence agencies to target Trump advisors long before the summer of 2016. Now, that basically means, of course, that not only is it illegal, it is criminal, mafia-style tactics that the Obama administration put into play. This new information fills many gaps in our understanding of the Russia collusion hoax and is supported by testimony already on public record. So until now, the official story has been that the FBI's investigation began after an Australian intelligence official, or several officials, told U.S. officials that a Trump aide had boasted to an Australian diplomat that Russia had damning material about Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. Now, that's what the official story has been. But that turns out to be absolutely false. It's misdirection, purposeful misdirection. In truth, the United States intelligence community, that would be the FBI, the CIA, Department of Homeland Security, asked the Five Eyes, that would be the United States, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. So the U.S. intelligence community asked the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance to surveil Trump's associates and share the intelligence they acquired with U.S. agencies. That's what sources close to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence Investigation are now reporting. So after Public and Racket had been told that President Barack Obama's CIA Director John Brennan, who incidentally was and is a communist, he had identified 26 Trump associates for the Five Eyes to target. A source confirmed that the intelligence community had identified them as people to bump or make contact with or manipulate. To bump means simply to target the individuals, to get them talking, to pressure them to go in a direction. So they identified 26 of these people to bump. This is all, of course, illegal mafia-style tactics to manipulate them and to get them to step in a wrong direction. These were targets of our own IC and law enforcement, targets for collection and misinformation. And I'll say it this way, that's not simply misinformation, it's disinformation, and that is they're putting out a false narrative purposefully from the Obama administration. Unknown details, the article goes on to say, about the FBI's investigation of the Trump campaign and raw intelligence related to the IC's surveillance of Trump campaign are in a 10-inch binder that Trump ordered to be declassified at the very end of his term. That's what sources tell Matt Taibbi. If the top secret documents exist proving these charges, they are potentially proof that multiple U.S. intelligence officials broke laws against spying and election interference in our own government against Donald Trump. And it shows you just how deeply corrupt and how deeply manipulative is the Democratic-led government that we have. So let's think about a few responses just off the top of my head, just as we're thinking out loud about it. Number one, it is absolutely criminal activity. Obama participated in criminal activity. I don't hold my breath to think that he will come to trial on it, or that he will be prosecuted for it, or anybody like John Brennan or anybody in his administration or Hillary Clinton will be ever prosecuted or held to justice on it. But it is criminal activity. It's just like Joe Biden taking the files and putting them in his garage. It is a crime. I don't care if his intent was to do good, and his intent was it was a mistake, and his intention was to return those files as soon as he discovered them. It's still criminal activity. And it points out to us that our government, ladies and gentlemen, is gone. It's a mafia-style government. The federal government is a criminal enterprise. Obama is a Marxist. Obama has been a Marxist. He always has been. He grew up as a Marxist, and that's exactly what we have. Now, I remember when Obama was running for president, having read much material as I could about Obama, and I was just absolutely alarmed at his Marxist roots. And I tried to tell people that Obama's a Marxist. We're getting into deep water here. Not that we haven't been into it with Bill Clinton and others with the China connection beforehand. But I had this kind of reaction from several friends and acquaintances. And they said, well, you know, the Democrats will get the election now, but the Republicans will get it later. I thought, how shallow. We are so shallow. I mean, we're not even interested in investigating. We can't plumb the depths of the corruption here, apparently. And we just think, well, Democrats have one view and Republicans have another view. And we just absolutely are so naive. It's just mainstream media driven drivel. But it's much deeper than that. I had some others tell me this. Well, you know, the country wants to have a black man for president. I had church people tell me this. Well, they need to have a black man for president, and it's all good, and he's, you know, the blacks will be. I thought, how shallow, how ill-informed. Once again, we are not thinking. We don't look at the issues. We don't try to uncover anything above the veneer, anything above the meringue that the mainstream media puts on it for us. And now we are in serious, serious, serious trouble. And we can't see the forest for the tree right in front of us. Now, the same thing is going on right now regarding Letitia James in New York, fining Trump, this attorney general fining Trump $354 billion, or the court did so, the case brought against him by Letitia James. Now, here's the thing. No one brought a suit against Trump. That is, no one filed a lawsuit against Trump. No one was damaged. No one was hurt. The bank got the loans that they had given to Donald Trump. They received it back, the loans that they had given him. They testified in court that Trump was a good customer. It was a private transaction, which Article 1, Section 9 allows us to do. But Letitia James ran on getting Trump, and she combed the files to find something on him. Ladies and gentlemen, that tells us that we are all at risk. If we can't get anything out of this, that should tell us that no matter how good you may be and no matter how law-abiding you may be, you are absolutely at risk. If the left wants to go after you, they will comb through the files and go after you. By the way, was that her job, to get in there and comb through the files? Apparently, that's what kind of things, that's what they want to take place in New York. You know, the IRS has so many laws on the books that I'm told that we all violate them here and there, inadvertently perhaps. I know some people who purposely violate IRS laws, but, you know, inadvertently people violate the laws. That's what, according to several experts Tax experts tell us that we inadvertently violate IRS laws. How would it be then? We have government operatives running through here, Marxist operatives, combing through the records and finding something that we've done wrong somewhere. That's exactly what they're doing in New York with Donald Trump. And matter of fact, though, they didn't find anything on the books about it. They don't like Donald Trump. And no one brought a suit, and she went into office, and instead of taking the cases before her, she went after Donald Trump. That's exactly the kind of government. It's a thug, mafia-style government that we have in place. And I cannot emphasize enough, if this is all true regarding what Matthew Eby writes, Michael Schellenberger, regarding the spying on the Trump campaign through the back door of foreign intelligence agencies, we have lost control of our government. We have absolutely lost it. It is not a government of the people. It is not a government for the people and by the people. For and by the people want Donald Trump, such as I do. But instead, we have a government that is run like a crime syndicate with a Chinese connection. Now, that's number one. Number two, I would like to point out this. Do you know integrity of elections matter? The integrity of elections matter. I get so frustrated with the Steve Duceys and the Neil Cavutos of the world who got caught up in the anti-Trump hysteria. Remember when Donald Trump was in office, Neil Cavuto he couldn't see the forest for the tree in front of him, and he just got all excited against Donald Trump, and he then created some anti-Trump hysteria. Steve Ducey did the same thing. He couldn't hide his disgust on Fox and Friends in the morning when Donald Trump questioned the election and people marched on January 6th and came to Washington, D.C. and tried to protest their thoughts that this was not a fair election. He couldn't even hide his disgust. Well, what option do we have? Well, we have the crime mafia-style government that we have right now. And I tell you what, the Steve Duceys of the world and Neil Cavutos, I hold them just as much responsible as I do the Democrats who are running the government. Now, people may not have preferred that Donald Trump, the way he tweeted, that's the only thing I ever hear. I don't like what Donald Trump tweets. I don't like his personality. I think Nikki Haley has a better more likable personality. Ladies and gentlemen, we better start thinking more deeply because this is what's going on in America. The only option that we have to a Donald Trump is a full-blown Marxist regime, totally taking power, using the levers of government to destroy what is left of our republic. That is the reason that the majority of Americans right now want Donald Trump back in office. Now, I also want to say this. Let me make this third comment. I am so tired of people talking about, well, I want to hear a balanced approach. Doesn't this put the kibosh on that? You know, people say, well, I watch conservative news talk like Newsmax, but then I want to be fair and balanced, and I'll go and watch MSNBC, CBS, NBC, ABC. Ladies and gentlemen, the mainstream media is propaganda, not simply misinformation, but purposeful, propagandized disinformation plant, the arm of the Marxist in power. These are the tools of the communists. It's like Pravda. It's like, well, I want to be fair and balanced. I'm going to go here instead of listening to what Joe Biden says. I want to be fair and balanced. I want to hear what the other side says, the communists. I want to hear what they're saying in China. What do they say about all of these things? It's not just another side. These are operatives of a communist movement who have taken over our government. And Exhibit A is this Russia collusion story. It was not only inaccurate, it was a plant by operatives to drive a false narrative, and we are seeing it at work right now. Our government is destroying our own borders right in front of our eyes. The Chinese and people from all over the world, fighting age men, are coming into America and practicing target practice, getting ready right now to take over America. We have absolutely no borders, and Joe Biden has purposefully done it that way. How about J6? The J6 prisoners, The mainstream media manipulated it. The government was hand in hand with them. And the message is pure and simple: don't protest a Democratic-led Marxist-style government. You know, John Brennan, I mentioned, is a communist. He himself voted for a communist in the past. All of this, you see, all of this is not simply a lighthearted orientation. This makes a difference, because when you study Marxism, when you study communism, you understand that their goal is to overturn free society and make it a slave state. That's why this deal about, well, we want Obama to be in office, you know, let's let the blacks have a black man and everybody will be happy. How stupid. Stupidity. It's also naive to say, well, I want to hear the other side, like a balanced approach. That's like saying, okay, I want to hear from the crime syndicate. I want to hear from the drug cartels also. All right, I know the mafia is all in crime and the crime family, but let me hear from the mafia leaders also about this. Let's hear what they have to say. This is absolutely naivete gone to seed. And sadly, the public, the college kids, the professors, they're all just like patsies in a sting operation. But here's something else. I want you to think about this for a moment. It appears that the reason that the Department of Justice under Joe Biden raided Mar-a-Lago was because of what we just read in that particular article by Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger, and that is that Trump knew what was taking place. He has documentation of it. He secreted it away. Yeah, they want to get that back. That's right. But there are people who are talking now, and if what they are saying is true, ladies and gentlemen, we have lost our government. And how to get it back, I'm not certain. But I'll tell you one thing: we better put our boots on and get ready to rumble, because this is looking pretty bad.